Sports entertainment is a character-driven business. We can stand here and talk about work rate and 5-star matches for days, but at its core, Vince McMahon's version of professional wrestling is largely reliant on personalities, on gimmicks. For better or for worse, you really need one if the big man is going to do anything with you on WWE TV. And being good wrestling generic serious guy number 536 just isn't going to cut it. And just like everything else in WWE, the company have cycled through so damn many of them throughout the decades that there are probably hundreds that have disappeared from your memory. Today, we're going to celebrate just a few of them. I'm Andy for WhatCulture Wrestling, and here are 10 short-lived WWE gimmicks you totally forgot about. Number 10. Make a Difference FATU. Hey there, little Timmy. Are you thinking about doing drugs? Friends trying to strong-arm you into smoking the reefer and playing FIFA? Well, don't do it, Timmy, because drugs are for losers, and you, sir, are no loser. That was the core message of Make a Difference FATU, but admittedly not verbatim, who was repackaged as some kind of day-glow inspirational life coach thing in 1995. He would visit his old high school to warn the audience of the perils of street living for a good couple of months under this guise until WWE gave up on it and FATU eventually became the Sultan. It was an odd little act that didn't quite get going, though strands of it can be seen in Ali's recent comeback vignette, in which the former 205 Live man somehow cures an addict's alcoholism by standing beside her. Make a difference indeed. Number 9. Just Joe. If you were paying attention to Sunday Night Heat in 2000, you'd have caught journeyman wrestler Joe E. Legend fanning around backstage as Just Joe, an odd locker room informant who deliberately feeds straight up lies to other wrestlers just to stir the pot, much like I do here in the WhatCulture office. This didn't go too well for him. An August 2000 episode of Heat saw Dean Malenko call Joe out on his bollocks, leading to a light heavyweight title match between the two in which Joe was soundly defeated, and the gimmick never really got off the ground after that. But regardless, his Don't Shoot the Messenger act just didn't connect to the level that Vince McMahon wanted, and he only ever wrestled on Heat and Jacked before the company eventually let him go in 2001. Number 8. The Executioner. Terry Gordy was a hard-as-nails bruiser and an underrated big man in his heyday, playing integral roles in the Fabulous Freebirds in the USA and the Miracle Violence connection with Steve Williams in Japan, but his body was barely holding itself together by the time he signed with the WWE in the mid-90s. Brought in as the Masked Executioner, he made up the numbers in The Undertaker's feud with Mankind and Paul Bearer, giving Gordy the opportunity to prove that he could still go at a high level. Unfortunately, that just wasn't the case, and he was gone after a single pay-per-view match. He fell to Taker at In Your House 12 and was then let go after falling to gold dust on a January 97 episode of Superstars, having come to Vince McMahon's promotion way too late in his career with way too much wear and tear on his body to make an impact. And admittedly, the dumb gimmick didn't exactly help matters either. Number 7. Key. If you remember Vic Grimes, it's probably for that time him and New Jack almost killed themselves when they fell off a scaffold at ECW, living dangerously, not as his run as Key in the WWE, which totally failed to register in the memories of Attitude Era fans. That being said, the character itself was actually quite fitting of the time period. As Key, Grimes was a big daft drug dealer who teamed with Droz and Prince Albert, a man named after a Bobby piercing lest we forget. And he was going to feud with the Godfather, a pimp. That obviously sounds stupid in 2019, but this was exactly the kind of wackiness that WWE's mid-card used to thrive on. But it all came crashing down and presumably started hurting inside when the Godfather was injured. This effectively meant the end of Key, who was advised to go to ECW for further seasoning, joining the Baldies faction, which, coincidentally, is currently enjoying something of a renaissance between Simon Miller, Jules Gill, and myself. That being said, though, we're not taking those scaffold bumps. Oh, no. Number 6. Charlie HAAS, Impersonator. Both Charlie HAAS and Shelton Benjamin looked great in the world's greatest tag team, but WWE picked up the gold standard as the one with real singles potential, leaving Chaz scrambling for something to do. A reunion of the tag team ended with Benji being sent to ECW in late 2007. A few months later, HAAS finally found his solo niche, becoming a fun mid-card curio as an impersonator who was genuinely funny as he took the piss out of all kinds of bigger stars. From Steve Austin and Bret Hart to JBL and Jim Ross, nobody was safe from his banter, and it was genuinely entertaining. But it didn't last. WWE binned the gimmick when HAAS was reborn as a super serious wrestle guy in May 2009, and that was that for him. He was released a year later and hasn't been seen in the company since. Number 5. Abe Knuckleball Schwartz. This Steve Lombardi character debuted in July 1994 during an MLB strike. Under this guise, the jobber best known as Brooklyn Brawler would piss and moan that fans attending WWE shows were causing shrinking crowds at baseball games, and it was all part of the promotion's no off-season branding. Perhaps it shouldn't come as a huge surprise to learn that the gimmick didn't last. I mean, look at him! But WWE went all in on the baseball theme, even having him come out to a weirdo version of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Regardless, Lombardi just kind of lost a lot of matches as Schwartz, as he always did, and reverted to the Brooklyn Brawler once the MLB's issues were resolved and baseball resumed. Number 4. Pancake Patterson. More Titus O'Neil doing a bit than a full-on gimmick change, Rufus Pancake Patterson was nonetheless a fun wee twist for the primetime player, who debuted the persona on a March 2013 episode of Raw. Claiming that he was Titus's uncle, Patterson said that his nephews, the primetime players, should have had John Cena-level merchandise in big glasses, an afro wig, and navy overalls. Why did they call him Pancake? Well, in his words, it's because he flattens fools, apparently. An extremely weird way to confront Cena, it had the announcers questioning if they were dreaming or not, and it lasted just 1 week. Titus was back to plain old Titus O'Neil the following week, and Old Pancake was relegated back to the breakfast menu at Denny's. Number 3. The Meta Powers. While Damien Sandow's post-WWE run suggests that maybe he wasn't the undermined megastar in waiting that many painted him as, turning his WrestleMania 31 popularity surge into the Meta Powers didn't exactly do him any favours. Curtis Axel was already working his Axelmania shtick beforehand, campaigning for a WWE title shot at Mania. In May, him and Macho Mandow started tagging together, but while they were admittedly entertaining, it was a one-note joke gimmick designed for nothing longer than a few months, and WWE binned it off by July. A big decline in popularity followed for Sandow in particular. He gave his all to the role, but the material was dire. Number 2. 1-800-FELLA. Hands up who wants to see old ladies unbuttoning their blouses after Sheamus saves their pet cat from a nearby tree. That's what 1-800-FELLA was all about, with 2013 bringing several vignettes for a fictional number that was supposed to paint the Irish star as a babyface hero who'd help sorry souls in a pinch, and all they had to do was dial the number on screen. The videos claimed that help was just a brogue kick away. Other vignettes had Sheamus helping someone with a bad case of the hiccups and saving a choking man by brogue kicking him in the back. WWE stopped running these videos when Sheamus suffered a torn labrum that August, and they never came back. Thank God. And at number 1, the Cosmic Wasteland. Cody Rhodes was happy to wave goodbye to Stardust when he left WWE in May 2016, but he also put 100% into trying to make the goofy gimmick work, even when he was pissing around with the Ascension. Late 2015 saw Connor and Victor effectively cast as Stardust's henchmen. Together, they were the Cosmic Wasteland, and they were little more than kickoff show fodder. Still, at least WWE were trying to get the Ascension over by putting them with a character that they fought was working, even though the only real similarity between the characters were that they were a bunch of guys who were kind of into face paint. The group's promos were kind of out there, and if they weren't celebrating Batman Day in their own unique fashion, the Wasteland were doing everything in their power to destroy the traditions of Christmas. Horrible Grinch bastards. I'm glad they split up. So that's our list, but what do you think? And what are some of your favourite forgotten WWE gimmicks? Let us know down in the comments section below. And once you've done that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications. Then follow us on Twitter at WhatCulture WWE and myself at Andy H. Murray. Bye!